This is it's actually more of a reaction video, I guess you call it. I saw just like how videos are fed across your feed, I get videos, fed across my feed, and I got a couple about people quitting nursing school, and I felt bad. I don't know what fed that. I was like, wow, wait a minute, what? But it was a couple people. Maybe it's that time of year. And I think I'll link the one video that I was looking at, because she brought up a couple good points. And this is another reason why I recommend a diploma or ADN program over a BSN or an accelerated BSN program, because those latter two are almost always very expensive. We're talking a semester there is more than any ADN program I know of. And a lot more. Like, sometimes it's like twice as much for one semester versus the entire run for ADNs. I'm not sure about diploma programs. I don't know how much they go for, or what the process, really is in the time frame of prep and all that, because you're doing it in the settings. You're doing it at the hospitals and at the sites, facilities. So I'm a little more iffy on those. Not iffy in the programs, but iffy on the process. I highly recommend those programs, even more so than ADN programs. But another reason why I recommend ADN programs is the cost, but not just the straightforward cost of it. And this goes to what the other video was talking about. She was in a BSN program, and I'll link it so you guys can watch it yourselves. I don't know her from a hole in the ground. Sorry, I don't know her from Sam. I don't know her at all. Just flashed across my screen. I took a look at the video, and I was like, oh, that's a good point. She was in her I think her finish up her second year in BSN and go into her third, and that's really when, for 4-year traditionals, that's when they really kick it into high gear, nursing wise. And I think she even said that was her first nursing class, her first clinicals and stuff like that, which seems to be the case. I know not every school goes that way. Some of them, get you kind of a smattering of it in the first year, and definitely a second year. Third year, though, seems to be the majority when they really start saying, hey, this is nursing school. And that's why ADN programs are 2 years, and that's about the equivalent. That's why you're both RNs, basically, we come out, because that's and they just bolus it into our heads at that point. The other portions are for your bachelor education and all that jazz, your well-roundedness, and for those who go into accelerated programs, you already have your bachelor's. I already had my bachelor's, but I went for ADN just for straightforward cost reasons, because I had 3 kids in college, and I was just saying to my girlfriend, I just finished 11 years of multiple children in college. Finally, I have a breather, because my daughter's paying her own way in nursing school. I have mine, but my BSN program, but my company's paying for it. The hospital's paying for that, so it's free. So after 11 years straight of college, multiple children in college, as many as 4 people, including myself at one point, it would average about 3 kids all the time through that 11 years. It's quite a bit of cost. So I went the ADN route, and that's straightforward cost reasons. Otherwise, I probably would have gotten accelerated BSN. But the accelerators are only a year and a half, 2 years tops, because you already have your BAs at that point, or BS, bachelor's, or whatever. Now, this video that I don't want to say it's not a reaction. I'm not making any commentary. I'm just saying, other than she made a good point, is that it took her 2 years into the program to really discover, I guess, that she didn't like nursing, or she wasn't doing well. And I would recommend to her, actually, to try a different program, because her program was it sounded very tough, her grading was a little higher than my grading standards where I went to school. And guess what? I passed NCLEX just like she would have if she finished nursing school. And I'm practicing on the unit, top-notch ICU nurses or med-surg nurses, hospice. Doesn't matter. Once you get your license, you're trained. Okay, nursing school is, like I have always said, it's just to get you past NCLEX. So that's really the point of it. I would suggest to her and anybody in that kind of similar circumstance, you're that vested in and you're like, holy crap, but you still want to be a nurse, rethink your plan of attack. She kind of just pulled back. I don't know, it's fresh. This video is just a few days ago, so I don't know what she's still thinking. I don't know her, so I don't know what her real long-range plans are, but she wasn't doing horribly. She quote failed out, but she didn't really fail in my opinion. I mean, it's just they raise their standards artificially high to make themselves, weed out the possible NCLEX failures. That's the point of their existence, the nursing school's existence. Otherwise, anybody can just walk in and take NCLEX in that sense, and then, they're like, you don't have any clinical experience. Yeah, it's there to give you a clinical experience. It's there to make sure you pass. So I'm rambling a bit, but these are points I touched on in other videos. I want to go to this nuts and bolts of what she was talking about. Was it took her 2 years and a lot of investment, and thankfully it wasn't a lot for her, but for anybody else it could have been like $60,000 to $100,000 in at that point. I know many schools that would be $100,000 in debt if you had nothing, whatever, out of pocket, whatever you paid in tuition, $100,000 by the time she realized, holy crap, this is not for me. Or whoever realizes, no, I don't think I want to be a nurse. Now I'm touching patients and this is freaky. I know somebody who went into a police academy and realized they couldn't shoot a gun. Not that they had bad aim, they just couldn't bring themselves to kill somebody, or even in self-defense. And they invested 3 or 4 years actually of their lives, probably more, considering that 2 years was COVID interruptus, in there. So it's a lot of investment before you realize, oh my God, this is not for me. And that's why I recommend ADNs and other programs, or at least, try to work on the unit, get your hands on the patient, see the unit, see what's going on. Even if you volunteer your time, get there and see what you like. That's another reason why I worked on the unit before I even really, before I finished nursing school. That's why I tried to get in before even getting into nursing school, but I couldn't. I think if I was younger, I would have, but that's another video. Ageism kept me out. But once I got into nursing school, finished my first semester, I had the qualifications. I felt it. I really kicked in high gear to try to get a job. I still couldn't. But finally, my manager gave me a break, and I was able to go in, and they loved me, and rest is history. But I wanted to get in so badly because I wanted to find out what the heck it was all about. Again, I'm a layperson, whether I was a homemaker, engineer, marketing exec, accountant, lawyer, whatever, teacher, you don't know that environment. You want to get in and feel it. And that's the thing with nursing school. It should be like day one, they get you in there. That's why for ADNs, that's why for my program especially, they're known to just jump at your throat the first day and say, this is nursing school. Do you like it? Do you want it? Because they want to weed you out real quick. Same reasons. I'm not saying they're holier than, better than anybody else, but it gets you exposed very quickly. Our class dropped 10% within the first month. People were like, F this. Our graduating class was like a third of what the original class was, people-wise. And even of that, it was only 50% of the original starters. We got on a couple LPNs and paramedics and stuff like that, EMT people that came on in nursing too. My daughter just finished nursing 1, same thing. I think she lost about a third of her class, and the spring cohort is smaller. I think it's like 60% of our class, so it's, they lost, still a third of that. I think they have like 40 or 50 classes, students going to nursing 2 now. So realizing early on will save you a lot of trouble. Also the prereqs, and that's the thing that this other, I'm sorry, this is a long video, but that's the other thing with the other video. The other person's video is that they had to pay for all those prereqs at the high rate too. It's about the same price. I mean, it's a little cheaper, I think, than nursing courses, But if you go ADN courses, programs, they're typically junior colleges, community colleges, and you're talking 1/10 on average, I think. 1/8 to 1/10. I've done the math. And it depends on where you're at. Cost-wise, get through the prereqs. See if you can even get through the prereqs. Honestly, I'm still considering med school, but there's a couple classes that I'm just like dreading. I'm like, I don't want to do calculus. I've done everything else. It's just the calculus portion and the physics. I'm like, really? What the heck? It's not necessary in my opinion, but that's still in the back of my mind. It's still rattling around in my brain, my 52-year-old brain. But it's something you guys should consider also into the equation. It's not straightforward dollars and cents in that sense. It's more your time, and your limited resources. I'm sure it's all limited resources. Do you really want to invest into this nursing route $100,000 in, $50,000 in, whatever, these years, it's better to go. I that's why I always say, no, do your prereqs here, cheap, whatever. They count the same. The professors have PhDs. They're teaching you the same. They graduated. Some of them are very esteemed, academics, academians. And you can then get a quicker feel of saying yay or nay, and say, no, I don't like this, or yeah, this is what I want, and it will whet your appetite even more, frankly. So that's something to consider. It's not straightforward dollars and cents in that sense, but it is, but it's also a time cost. And then you say, hey, this is for me, or this is not for me, and you make the decision quicker. This young lady, I think she's 28, and she's like, oh my God, 28, 52. Don't worry about it, I don't even know her name. I don't even know it off the top of my head. But it was 2 years invested into her. Now she switched majors. I believe she's in accounting, is what she said. And she seems happy, and that's fine. But I hate to, I had hoped that she would just reroute her resources or time and think about a different route. I mean, I've had friends that went the BSN route 4 years and then went to ADN because they just missed getting the BSN. Well, that classmate of mine got her ADN and now is in the process of getting her BSN for free. Again, getting her facility to pay for it. Counts the same. And she's getting it at a much more illustrious institution than the first BSN. Her first BSN school, no offense, I wouldn't have, as coming out of high school, I wouldn't have looked at it. I'm not as snooty as I am before, but I'm just saying, reputation-wise, that wouldn't have gotten me. Where she is now, my friend is now, yeah, that was one of the schools I considered out in the West Coast. It was one of the state schools, local state schools that she went initially. She couldn't get through the BSN program. She missed it by literally like 1 percentile. She dusted herself off, took a year off, came into our program, got through it, and is moving on. So she's an RN, full RN right now, no problems, no issues. She's getting paid very, very well in the West Coast there. So it's, maybe this route isn't for you, maybe another route is. Maybe the shorter route will get you a little bit more information quicker and let you make your decision quicker. And that's, as older adults, yeah, we want to cut through the BS. This is how we want to do things. We know we want to do it that way. Do we want to waste time doing a 4-year route? Most of you probably don't. Most of you are probably going the accelerated BSN program because it's more flashy. Realize that prereqs is the same. Gotta have the same prereqs. And I doubt your prereqs, you have them valid. You might have been a bio major in college, counts for shit now. You have to take everything over. You know why? They only counted for 7 years. I don't know any institution that will give you longer than 7 years. Some of them 6 years, actually, I've even heard. So I had to take everything over. I was pre-med, had to take everything over. That's what it is, because there were 30-year-old courses. They don't count. They don't care what you got them. They don't care you got them from Harvard. And I got them from a comparable institution. They don't care. Got to take them over again, right? I had a friend who's a biologist. That was her job. She's a master's in biology. She had to retake it. She was like, "Are you kidding me? I'm more qualified than the teacher." I had to take it over. So realize you got to go through the front door no matter what. All right, in that sense. Just take the cheaper front door is my thought of it. That's one. And, go that way. Get your BSN. I say to everybody, get your BSN. I don't really care one way or the other, but it's the only way to get respect from the hospitals and move on to bigger, better degrees 99% of the time. There are a couple exceptions I won't go into because it's already 16 minutes. All right, good luck. I will probably expound on this if there's enough comments or questions. I have to make another video. I'd rather reply to people on video because it's able to do this than write a whole dissertation, But either way, good luck.